Welcome to Triaging Time. I'm your host, not Dan Luna.
Love that.
I'm joined by Dan. My name is Drew Williams. For those of you who don't know me, I had the great honor of being brought on this show by Dan, episode 8. So if you want to know a little bit about my bio, law enforcement background, happy to be here with you again. Going to flip the script a little bit here for you today, and I'm going to try to host this thing so you guys have the opportunity to hear Dan Luna. For those of you that don't know, I would assume you would know because you're on his podcast. But Dan is a founder of Team 3LX, sorry about that, and the Triaging Time podcast, which you can find here on YouTube. We also have the distinct honor of being joined by a great friend of mine and Dan's. This is Jeff Banman. Jeff has a history in the fire service, in the Ranger Battalion, the Intel community, and he is now the executive director of the Operational Mindset Foundation and the host of the Mindset Radio podcast, which I've also had a great opportunity to be on his show as well.
Yeah.
So Jeff, welcome. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
And Dan needs no intro.
I kidnapped everyone here. I was like, we're going to film this.
Yeah.
Let's go.
There's no great honor to that.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is I beat these two up for the last week with my folks and my SWAT team, and so that's why they're a little tired. You know, lack of sleep for these guys. You know, that's where we're at. So Jeff, do you want me to turn it on Jeff, or you want to flow this thing? I got it.
Yeah,
I'll tell
you got it.
Okay. So Jeff,
Yes.
Dan always hits us with this question, okay? So
All right.
life, leadership, volatility, and trauma. Now, the question is, if we only had a few minutes, what would you share with us on those topics?
On all of them, on all four?
Same reaction.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Whatever
Answer
you
is
want.
whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
This is
All right. So actually, here's the snapshot because we talked about it this week. It came up several times in conversation this week, and I think this is a foundational starting point that we miss sometimes. So I like to say the internal awareness will equal the external awareness, right? So the greater we want to expand our awareness to the jobs we have, the life that we lead, the things that are going on, the more internal awareness I need to generate and create, right? And so that looks at it from what does my life look like? What do I want my life to look like? And how am I driving that? How am I in the driver's seat of what's taking place? What's the second one?
there's life, leadership, volatility, and trauma.
Yeah, and leadership's a big one, right? Because leadership, and we talked about that today. We had some really great conversation today within the terms of how do I lead, and a lot of that is driven by a higher level of self-awareness. The more I understand myself, the more I'm likely to understand my people. I think the greatest thing a leader can do is learn to be in the experience of someone else. Right? So if you and I work together consistently, or you and I work together consistently, maybe I've upset you, maybe I've pissed you off, maybe I've done something that's left an impact on you. We're going to have a conversation about that. You know, it's a great opportunity for ego to come up, for the wall to come up, for everything to shut down. For me, the greatest thing I can do is just be in the experience you had of me and the situation at the time. And that's it. Just be in it. And just acknowledge that was your experience, right? Because then I have a foundation to work from and really actually now lead in a more effective way. So life, leadership was the third one?
Dan's favorite, volatility.
Volatility. Oh, man. I love volatility, right? And I love the way you have started to really move that. Like on our podcast, we talked about the shift from violence to volatility and a few other things and the models around that. I think that's super important because I think, we operate in an interesting time in a lot of ways for anybody, and really it doesn't matter anymore, right? Business has changed, life has changed, law enforcement, fire service, EMS, hospitals, it's an entirely new dynamic. And I would piggyback my big statement, which is you're either the calm or the chaos in that moment of volatility, right? And if you're not the calm, well, you're the chaos. So how do I take the responsibility to be the calm amongst what's taking place, right? To level the energy down, to really exhibit a stable platform and empower the people around me to be exceptional.
So if you're not self-aware, you can't really be that calm, that
No.
chaos, right? And then how do you lead through volatility, Dan?
It's funny, I just wrote down advice on that because I was going to ask you that question. If you like,
Yeah.
What'd you tell guys?
Do you
what
like how
would
I
you
shifted
tell
that?
guys?
Yeah.
What'd you
do you
tell
like
guys?
how I played? It was like a
I'm
hot
hosting
potato.
it. I'm hosting
Great
this thing.
question.
Hey,
Joe. Hey, how would you?
So how would you tell guys like me, right, commanders or leaders in this arena, you two, the brain power you guys have, what you've seen, what you've experienced, self-awareness is, for me too, you listen to what I say, I talked a lot about self-awareness, and if you're not, you are chaos because you don't know what you're doing. And you have methodology, both of you, and how to weed through some of these things, and what is critical for our audience to be aware of.
Yeah. So I would say both. One, awareness of it. So even though this show is kind of focused for first responders, military, the overall universals and principles are definitely for, everyday, everyone.
Yep.
Really is the idea. The focus is there. So just having the awareness of one, your environment, awareness of yourself, and the next thing, just very simple, is we're always practicing something.
Yeah.
So if you want to give, it's the same thing with leadership. People talk about leadership, leadership knowing. I read all these books. Okay, great. What are you doing? What are you practicing from? What did you learn from that book? How are you implementing in your life? So the behavior stuff, which you're the guy. So now it's the awareness of what you're practicing. So even with that, like I just break it up into 3 big chunks, kind of like, hey, what's the preparation before work? What are those morning rituals? And then the action phase. What's the phase while you're at work? Whether it's corporate, law enforcement, firefighter, whatever it is, it really doesn't matter.
No.
It's, hey, what are you doing at work? Everyone's experiencing stress. You look at mental health issues in the workplace right now. So, hey, how are you dealing with that everyday stress? And then afterwards, what's your recovery look like? So I like to break it up in those 3 things, and then just to reiterate what I first said was we're always practicing something. So even this, like how I'm using my hands, how I'm sitting here, when I stop moving and I stop talking, how am I listening? So we're always practicing something. So what are we doing within our leadership practice? And then how aware of it are we? So with the calm and the chaos, how do you practice that? How often do you practice that? What does that look like? And it's no different than anything in the physical realm. You want to be better at jiu-jitsu. What do you have to do? You have to get time on the mat. You want to be a better shooter. What do you have to do? You can get time on the gun. You want to be better at whatever it is. There's time involved in it.
Well, do you mind if I jump in? Because you said something interesting there. It's like, how do I, like the knowing, right? And, everywhere I go, people are like, okay, what's your best book? What's your top book? What's this? What's that? And there's so much out there, right? I mean, we couldn't consume everything out there. Like, just take leadership. We couldn't consume everything in this lifetime or the next. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be physically impossible for one person to digest everything out there. But one of the interesting things that I've kind of taken over time around that is, it's like, okay, this is knowledge, right? I'm consuming and learning, but what matters, what I do with that matters, right? And we talked about this earlier. This is the transition from doing to being, right? From maybe knowing something to presence. And so this is where I take that knowledge and then embody it, right? And then, like we talked about today, it becomes knowing. Knowing is in the heart. Knowing is in the gut. I know this. It's real and it lives in me. It's not just somebody's idea that I'm regurgitating or, just read. We can share that stuff, but like, let that digest through the system and get down into there, because some stuff you'll be like, oh, and then as you try to process it, it's like, it doesn't fit. And it may not fit for you, it may fit for them. That's okay. right? That's why there's so much out there. So you kind of got to like consume and then digest. And when you digest, some things are going to go away because some things don't work for everybody. You know, some things are very different in the fire service and law enforcement and the intel community and the military. And some things are very much the same. So I like that idea of like, how do I process this? How do I really like consume, digest, and then embody what I've learned over time? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were going to say something.
No, I guess I was kind of drifting in that arena of mechanical versus behavioral aspects. I think is what you were talking about earlier.
Mechanical or tactical versus behavioral stuff.
Is that kind of what you're alluding to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where you start to get out of the, dook, 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 dook kind of idea and into how am I showing up? What is my presence? It's like recovering my bike last night.
Right. Yeah, this bike's stolen. This guy goes and gets it.
You pull up, it's a shady environment. Here's everybody out there. It's like, what determined the outcome of that wasn't what I said, wasn't my tactics involved. It was the presence the minute I stepped out of that vehicle. Everybody was like, okay, what's going on? Maybe this dude's crazy, I don't know, but that's his bike. He says it's his bike. Here you go. And out without an incident, right?
Yeah.
All that is who I showed up to be. All that is my behavior in that moment. I could have said whatever, and that's my bike, and still walked out of there with it, as long as I had that. But if I show up in a behavioral model where I'm timid, or I'm shy, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm kind of like, unsure, unstable, uncomfortable, it goes a completely different way. So I think I can apply tactics to all kinds of situations. It's like, how am I also then being, and what is my presence, and what are my behaviors look like in that time?
So I don't want to forget that, because there's still trauma. Before we get there, and this ties into how do you shift that? So let's say I show up and I am timid.
Yeah.
And I am uncomfortable. How do I move from that space or that shape, right, as we're talking about embodying, so literally that shape that I take, how do I change that shape to a different shape, fully embody it, and believe it? What have you seen?
Yeah, so it's interesting because so this is one of these questions that to me, it's like the answer is way complex and super easy. So you got to have some real understanding around it, because what I'm about to say, you may be like, huh. So literally, for me to shift my dynamic and my presence, it is all tied to my breath work.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Like legitimately, like if you watch me now, I rarely chest breathe anymore. Rarely. I used to, as we grow up, we all get up here, we all posture, we all puff, like this is dominance, right? I almost now, I can have a correct posture, but I'm belly breathing constantly. Because what that is doing is that is providing me a regulation of my central nervous system, aligning all the signals that I need to then demonstrate a level of comfort and confidence in that moment, right? It's a settling. It's not a chasing the gun. It's not a overrunning the headlights. It's not a go, 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 go kind of mentality. It's like, I am here, I've arrived, and you guys know it, right? And really, I mean, because we're, you really want to get hippy-dippy around it, we're just energetic beings. And so presence is a transfer of energy from me out into the space. Where's my energy generate from? It generates from my regulatory systems, my central nervous system. What's the gateway to manage my central nervous system? My breath. So like driving over there, there's a little bit more force, a little bit more breathing, like a little bit more, okay, I'm in this. All right, strength is here, power is here, I'm good. I'm not saying that out loud, but that's just like, I'm gonna go in, this is what I'm gonna do, this is how I'm gonna execute. Drive past, identify the bike, turn around, pull right into the space, no timidness, right to it, step right out of the car, That's my bike.
You like pointing.
Absolutely. Dude, that's an old fireman truck, right? You drive that fire truck, it's like, you will stop right there. You're like, okay. You know? Yeah. I mean, or the hand slash, whatever you want to do, but it's like you
Knife hand.
have my bike and I'm taking it back, right? Just the simple little aspects of it. And then, you know, and then you've got, like you talked about, so there I'm in action, get the bike, because I'm looking, right? I mean, it's Tweaker Central. I mean, there's 10 or 15 of them all in this shady motel. The dude's got like 50 bikes strapped up. He's got to unlock it. He's got to go inside to get another piece for it. So I'm like, you know, radar out here. I know I got 3 guys walking up behind me. This is going on. It's like, all right, car's still running. You know, just constantly assessing on, got my bike, looking, move to the back, get it, okay. And my brain's going like, okay, where are my points of vulnerability? You know, all right, so I'm gonna have to lift this bike, I'm gonna have to put it in the trunk, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Where is the opportunity for them? And so I'm closing those opportunities off moment by moment. Bike in the trunk, in the car, thanks fellas, literally, thanks guys. Got in the car, drove away, different regulated breathing. Now I'm deregulating, right? Now I'm just de-escalating myself. Now I'm coming back down. Now I'm just deep, longer breaths. Letting that energy settle, letting that energy disperse, let it go, right? You talked about recovery at the end of the day. Literally. So, highly complex answer with a lot to it and a fairly simple action. You know, I'm a big believer in breath work and not one style. I hate people that are like, okay, this is how I'm going to teach you how to breathe.
Box break, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, all of them are of value. All of them provide certain aspects, certain things. The knowledge around that, the embodiment of that, and the practice of that, to me, is the best answer I can give you for like how do I, because you feel it. So even when even when I'm listening to you today, you know, earlier, I'm like, I'm actually taking your information in with breath. I'm like, oh yeah, good point, Dan. You know, my brain, I'm like, ooh, that was good. That makes sense. And that lets me, that's my practice, because that's let me actually, I'm able to pause. I'm able to transition from you speaking to me listening to then processing to then dropping it in. And then it takes a little bit, right? And then I just let it sit. And I could call you in a couple days and be like, you know, Dan, you were actually full of it. And I don't really, you know, but that's all, that would be an idea. May not work for everybody.
May I?
Yeah. It's your show.
No, today it's your show. I'm chilling.
That's awesome. I love
I'm
that.
chilling. So if we could go one more layer into that breath work, where does, once again, just at a high level, what do you recommend? Where does that breath work start? How long?
Yeah.
How many times a week? So if somebody's like, oh wow, that really connected with me.
Yeah, what do you do with it?
What do I do?
Okay, yeah, simple. One, I always say we're all so unique, right? We are all, it's like trying to teach somebody how to shoot, you know what I mean? Everybody's kind of got their own mechanics and their own mechanisms. So I like to start people with a regulation breathing. So just something that is rhythmic. Just
We have a big dog in here.
Hi.
Down. Down. Sit.
So we'll see how good of a trainer you are.
Stay.
Hey.
Ah.
Hey, nice.
No pressure.
Nice. Yeah.
Creeping.
So when I start working with somebody around that side, I always look at just rhythmic process. Okay. Rhythmic breathing, and that can be a 4 in, pause, 4 out. That can be, it's not a full box breath. That's not necessarily it. You can do that to start with. 4 in, hold, 4, 4, 4, 4, just kind of a box breath. 4 in, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, 4 in. You can do that. I like to keep it super simple. Play with it, decide if you're a 4-4 or a 6-6, somewhere in that lane, nothing less than 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Right, so minimum 4 seconds in, and then maybe just a slight pause, 4 out. And you're literally like, you should feel like you're pulling your belly button out and just letting your belly button go. Okay, so when I breathe, a couple things to it. One, my brain is controlling the breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gravity is taking the breath out. No force. Nothing to it. I'm just letting my breath leave the body. That's it. Okay? All day. Whenever I think about it, I've got a app on my thing that just goes bing every hour. Right? Oh, let me do 30 seconds of rhythmic breathing right now. Because rhythmic breathing will begin to bring the central nervous system back into balance. It starts to bring about what we call heart rate coherence, right? So it brings things together. The geek is coming out.
Behavioral science guy.
Yeah.
Intel guys.
Yeah. I'm all
So something that you just shared, I absolutely love, and it's a physical reminder. So it's an external physical reminder of what to do. So as you were talking in the beginning, hey, kind of what happens internally shows up externally. So to reverse that, hey, I can use the external environment to cue what I want to happen internal. So I love that idea of the being, this is what I need to be doing.
Yep.
Which is probably hypercritical when it comes to trauma. I like to want to jump to that bridge and how the body behaviorally interacts under stress and witnessing or partaking in trauma and then that recovery. What are your thoughts on that aspect and on breathing, and have you done that and had success with that, but then where it goes in the long run?
Yes. So I'd say moving forward, for me, meditation. So there's breath work, there's meditation, depending on what's comfortable. What I've learned working with different folks, some people are just instantly turned off by that word meditation. They're like, oh, that's weird stuff. We're like, okay, that's fine. We're just going to there's science behind your breath. So we can go there, or we can go into deeper stuff, which I enjoy. So it has helped me move forward and process and continue to self-regulate, really emotionally. And so there's so much with the breath. So I love that you shared that. What I am curious about is kind of that fourth and final question, and this is the longest I've ever had anyone stay on this. And I love it. It's so you. It's so perfect. It's so you. So it's
Jeff,
great. And that's why you're here.
You're like, they're like, let me open the door. No, wait a minute.
Within boundaries.
Yeah.
So great question for Jeff.
Yeah. Behaviorally, what is it controlling in trauma-related issues?
Yeah.
What can it aid to?
So here's what I'll share. Here's what has recently come up for me. And I'm a big meditation guy. And again, much like breath work, there are so many versions. Most of what people hear or know as meditation is actually just relaxation stuff. So you got to really understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. But I've become a significant meditator in so many forms and fashion. And I've got a pretty healing practice for myself, because it has been about processing residue and releasing trauma and getting rid of these things. And I'll just be straight, because I am on the podcast and this is real life, right? Some of the things that have happened recently really caused me to step back and look at my own behavior patterns, my own thought processes, maybe the things that I've said, the permissions I've given myself over time, because I operate around the world. I love everybody. I love people. And, I've sat in people's homes all around the world of all different faiths and beliefs and races and religion, everything. And I love them all. But I let that give myself some ability. So I had to really kind of sit back and be like, okay, let me do some self-awareness check here. And let me check in on my own trauma. What am I carrying right now? What is still here? And it was interesting. I did a pretty deep dive meditation. I've got a kind of like a binaural beat that I like, and some really solid breath work takes me right in. And what I unpacked was, I could see where I was, and I'll say this, you've kind of got to get it, or your user or your listeners are going to be like, whoa, wait a minute. But I could see where I was carrying the souls of a lot of people, like legitimately. You know, I mean, I started riding fire trucks at 16 years old, and I've been carrying souls since then. And I had to really like go through and acknowledge each person, you know, regardless of how their life ended. I was still like somehow holding on to them. And I do some practice where I, like in the breath work, I let it come up. I feel whatever it is I need to feel. And where is it? Is it my heart? Is it my chest? Is it in my stomach? Where is this trauma existing? Where do I feel it? I don't judge it. I don't get into it. And then I just start to breathe it out. Start to release it, right? And just really, actually, I mean, if you're watching me, I'll use my hands. Like, I'll like pack it up and be like, let's just get this out of me. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to carry it anymore. And so, you know, I think when we talk about trauma, one, we all have it. We talked about this. It's like Mike Brown said on the podcast, it's not the trauma Olympics. I'm not here to compare my trauma to you or your trauma to me. It's all trauma, doesn't matter.
The capacity seemed to...
Just gonna go there, yep.
Yeah, what were you gonna?
Just gonna say the cup fill over thing, kind
Yeah.
of, it's just how much we can take.
Yeah, totally,
Is it
right?
1 or is it 100? You know,
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Everybody's different. Everybody is different, right? In different scenarios and different situations. And so it's like, okay, you know, but we carry that stuff. So just recognizing, yes, there is stuff, there is garbage, there are things I've held on to. Okay, cool. What is that? Like in the, you know, the breath work and the meditation, it provides a little bit more access, I feel like, to just being peaceful enough to say, oh man, that's there. And then I get very active when I want to release something. I really get like in touch with the sensation that it's creating, where it lives in my body, and man, I move it, you know, pull it out of my belly button or whatever it is, man. I like, yeah, and it's like gone, you know. And so it's sorry, I didn't mean to get too
No,
woo-woo
no,
on
no,
that.
no. I love
good,
it.
but
There's things that you're doing that I'm noticing that, you know, just in case somebody's watching, like, oh, he moves his hands a lot. No, like literally somatically, you're reinforcing it physically with your movement, and it's like almost a movement meditation.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm visualizing it. I'm thinking about it. I'm giving it. It has life. It lives here. I'm literally giving it that shape, and you're helping yourself process it and move it and work with it to reshape yourself.
just let it go too, right? Just
And it's great because we've been using this word trauma kind of loosely.
Yeah.
And so there's some things within the past, so just past, present, and future.
Yep.
So it's, hey, I'm working to move through this to a new shape.
Yep.
And as I'm moving into this new shape, hey, what is going on today? So now you're always practicing something. So hey, as I'm practicing this for something in the past that lives in the past, as things happen in the present, you have those skills to then process those things here in the present.
Yes.
Would you disagree?
No,
Would you
not
agree?
at all. Not at all, but I want to make a point because I think this is the interesting conversation. Understand the difference between a memory and how trauma exists. And I think it's a pretty important dissection that people don't really understand. It's like, hey, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that will say, hey, I'm going to heal your trauma, or we're going to get your trauma out of your body. What does that really mean? What is that going to look like? What is that going to feel like, right? Those are important aspects. And recognizing that the memory of events will not disappear. So there's a difference. This is why I like kind of the work, which gives me the physical sensation tied to the memory. So what I'm doing in that work is I'm actually separating the two.
Okay.
So, you know, if I had you really focused on guys you've lost, it is going to trigger a physical sensation in the body.
Yes.
Okay? Healing the trauma is about removing the sensation It's about healing that pit of the stomach.
Finish processing that
Yeah,
sensation.
letting it
Let
actually flow through.
Mhm.
The memory will always be there.
Mhm.
That will never go away. I cannot remove that. You know, it's not Minority Report. I'm not going to hook you up and
Yeah.
zap you. I'm not going to remove the memory. But what we can do is understand, nurture, and eventually, it's not going to happen overnight, and eventually let that sensation, let that connected sensation dissipate. Because I no longer need that. I love my guys. I honor them. They will always be with me. But that doesn't mean I have to feel deep sadness or deep self-judgment or, you know, my fault, should have, you know, all the stuff that goes with it. I don't have to carry that. I can actually process through that and let that go ahead and go. It served me for whatever it served me. Thank you very much. And you can go now. And I love my guys. And they will always be with me.
I love it. I love that distinction.
Yeah. I think people, because it gets so cloudy, it gets very murky when we start talking about trauma. Very murky. And, you know, we haven't had a whole lot of help from academia on it. We haven't had a whole lot of help from, you know, the psych community around it. Unfortunately, we have had some. There are brilliant people out there, and I, you know several of them. And
It's a piece.
but it's just a piece.
It's a way.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways.
So many ways, and they all overlap and they all intertwine, and so, you know, you gotta find the avenue that works for you. That's it. It's like, okay.
And it might be a combo.
All of it, dude. I feel like that's my job. It's like, let's go figure out what else is going on, and then does this work, and then can it be validated, and then, you know, does it actually produce a result that we want to produce? So that's my feeling on it.
That was great.
There's so much. That's great. Yeah.
Did we
We're
go?
getting close.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I said. I was looking up there. Do we
Good
want
thing we
to?
didn't ask two questions.
Sorry.
Do we want to ask the final wrap up question? Or you want to touch on a couple quick topics before we dive into
keep
that?
asking questions.
So could
We'll push it.
what resonated a little bit for me on your conversation, if both of you describe this physical being, right? Like as far as like the emotions, what I'm going after. So you on day one talked to us about I'll use just capacities. We're talking about you know, I'm driving and I'm pitting emotions, right? And I'm driving it physically, pushing it down. I'm not going to call attention to it. I'm going to swallow
Often
it.
you
I'm going
see
to
the
swallow the
swallow.
emotion, right? And at time that builds up, and I think at least in law enforcement, probably on your guys' professions too as well, is we don't call attention to it. And so you use the spectrum analysis of emotions, and you talked about the extreme on both ends.
So even the pattern of thought in which we think, or how we think about how we feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, emotions are this.
Yep.
Or, you know, it's no emotion, or it's like, oh, if there's emotion, you're a big crybaby.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's these very big
I used to say
extremes.
the only acceptable emotion in any of our worlds was anger.
There you go.
Like you couldn't be too goofy and happy,
Yeah.
because then
Yeah.
something's up.
Exactly.
You couldn't be
That's
sad
so
because then you're weak.
Yeah.
But man,
if you're angry,
you
you're
can be
so
as
true.
angry as you want to be.
And people are angry.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Yeah, I used to argue against people. People are like, Jeff, why are you angry? I'm not angry.
I'm not emotional.
angry. What are you talking about?
That's funny.
Yeah, and so I mean, when you pit it and then either A, not acknowledge it, or maybe I'm the guy that believes I'm on an extreme or the other, tying that to you talked about what is emotion. But like your definition of it's a physical reaction that is happening in your body, but we label it.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, we talked about this a little bit, and this is where we may just kind of, you know, a little bit, but, you know, for me, I like to look at it in terms of, you know, it's a process that occurs, right? So it's
Process, thank you.
it's a experience of something that triggers some sensation in the body, right? So my radar's pinged. We talked about that, you know, in the classroom, and we can do another episode around it. But something pinged my radar, which then creates some kind of sensation or tension in the body somewhere, and then I start to label that. Right? It's a discomfort. It's a dysregulation. So I have to call that dysregulation something. So maybe that's anxiety. Maybe that's, you know, frustration. Maybe that's anger. Maybe that's sadness. Maybe that's fear. Maybe whatever that is. But I have to label it, right? So that causes me to think all the way through. Or, you know, that's an external input. Or I'm remembering or recalling or thinking about something that then triggers the system. So is it an internal trigger or an external trigger? that then is resulting in, kind of, and this is a little bit more explanation to what I said earlier, kind of a sensation in motion, right? So it's because the emotion is the outward expression of how I feel, right? I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm whatever. It's the expression of some way I feel. For years I would have never said I had anxiety, like up until like 43. Jeff, you have anxiety? No, I don't have anxiety. 43, I'm doing some work with a guy, and he asked me, he's like, dude, do me a favor. Scale 1 to 10, how anxious or are you when you get out of bed in the morning? I said, on a good day, like an 8. On an average day, like an 11. He goes, okay. And then here was the real kicker question. How long has it been that way? Forever. I mean, that's childhood stuff. That's like, did Dad drink too much? Mom upset? What's going on? Am I okay? Am I not okay? Can I leave my room? Can I not leave my room? Am I going to get beat? Am I going to get thrown? What's going on? Like, whatever. Like, forever.
So that's so interesting, just in that. So the question I would, if you didn't elaborate, I would ask the question: how has that served you?
Yeah.
Like how's that worked out for you so far?
Right.
So also with that is there was a time where that did serve you.
100%.
So it was that survival mechanism, that armoring.
Yeah.
And sometimes we put a morality on things. When I say morality, like, oh, it's good or it's bad. Hey, it's just necessary.
It just is.
Especially when you're younger. So there was a moment in time where that served you, where it was necessary, and then you imprinted it, right? As we've talked about memory.
Yep.
And so you've held it, that shape or those actions, those thoughts, those beliefs. So then you continue to move with it, and you held it, and then it actually no longer serves you. However, that was what you practiced for so long.
Well, totally. And then it's no wonder, because I don't have anyone in my family doesn't have my background. It's not like I followed in somebody's footsteps. Why do I do what I did? Oh, easier to control the chaos outside than the chaos inside.
Almost for everyone. That's why we're like, if they just did this, if everyone else just did this.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, what do you do? Nobody's doing nothing but themselves.
Yeah, and now
Self-awareness.
no longer it serves me.
Yeah.
It actually now, and I can see where it's been negative kind of across my life, and I don't judge myself for that. It's just been what it's been. But it has kept me alive, and it has enabled me to do pretty exceptional things, around the world. So thank you.
You've done some all right things.
Yeah.
So thank you, and I'm done with you now.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't serve me anymore. So.
How does that, when you say that out loud?
Oh, it's phenomenal, dude. Feels
Relief.
so good. So good. Are you kidding me? It's like, and I'm not free of all of it yet.
Yeah.
It's still work. I mean, 45 years in, man, it's going to take something.
Yeah.
But it's work, and it's okay. But it's work without judgment. It's work without like shame and guilt and fear and worry. It's just what it is, and it's just going to go. That's all there is to it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Dude, that's
Transparency, yeah.
I love it.
You get it, man.
It's great.
You get it.
Oh, 100%.
Dude, yeah.
That's what I think.
What do you think?
I've had you guys all week, man.
You're like, get out of here. Get out of my house.
I got notepads on notepads on notepads of stuff. So, I mean, in respect of the time, I mean, we could wrap with a question.
Which question?
So we could take young Jeff into the equation.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so that kind of ending question, if you go back to new guy Jeff, 16-year-old Jeff, already stepped on that engine, whatever it's going to be, what would you tell yourself back then to prepare you moving forward? What would you wish you had known then?
Well, can I go back further?
Yeah.
Can I go back to little Jeff? Because this is what I do tell myself now. I literally go back. And I hope it's okay to say this. There's no other way to say this. I hope your audience is all right with it. If not, you can go beep.
Yeah. Stop. Don't watch anymore.
Yeah. So this has become my practice. I go back and remind myself their shit, not yours. Their anger, not yours. Their frustration, not yours. Yeah.
I felt,
Dude.
I got, yeah.
holy smokes,
Yeah. Theirs, not yours.
Mm.
that's powerful.
Dude.
Well, that triggered some of you and triggered me,
Oh,
right?
yeah, true. We both just triggered.
Yeah, yeah.
was-
I
That's
never
it.
took
Wow.
that far back to childhood. I think that's a creepy thing for me right now. I'm gonna have to work through, but I think it's going that far back. I think we go back to New Guy, right? And we think about what happened,
Yeah.
but it's beyond that.
It
aspect.
really is. Yeah,
That
because
bleeds into our future.
dude, if 16-year-old
It really
kid showed up,
shows.
yeah, free. I mean, I look at it now. We talk about this. It's like if I go back and do my life, how badass would you be if you didn't live in the world of judgment, morality, good, bad, moral injury? If you just were able to look at somebody who's like, Dan, I'm really sorry you had to see the things you needed to see. You had to see. Okay, well that's your shit, not mine. Because I chose my life. I was committed to something. I'm okay with this. This was my job that I embraced. Where things get murky is when I start letting your stuff creep in and your stuff creep in, and this person's assessment or thoughts or this or that. It's like, and I just go back all the time, man, all the way through life, and I just kind of put my arm around myself and I go, dude, and we just watch what's taking place, and I just go, hey man, only thing you need to know, that's theirs, not yours. Not yours.
Can I punch you both in the gut? So I'm like, oh man, I'm like dying over here.
I'm
Yeah.
going to motion.
So I'm
spectrum.
gonna punch you in the gut. So here's the punch: when you recognize that you did that to somebody else,
Oh, yeah.
Oh dude.
and
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
You caused trauma, yep.
that's when I look, and I'm like, "Pfft," and I say that.
Yeah.
I say that was my.
Yeah.
Yep.
My fault. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Brother. Deep.
That's being
But-
in the experience of somebody else
Yes.
without your ego in the way.
And open.
Yeah.
We talk about being open. That's what this is all about, right?
Yeah.
It's how do we, this would have never happened, right? This is not happening without collective openness and mindset and sharing. And this is what's so powerful about doing these things.
Yeah.
Why do we sit here and do this? Because we're all on the same page, right?
Yeah.
We've all hurt, caused hurt,
Yeah.
are hurt. And you cause chills, we all cause this. This is impactful.
Yeah.
And if you reach one person, right?
All right, we gotta go.
I don't know. I was trying to think how to wrap this.
How do you wrap that?
What do I
So,
do?
Oh, we're done. Turn it off.
We are on this side of the spectrum. Yes, we are. We're
Yeah.
over here. We're good to go. Fuck you, think we're pansy. Sorry if they had that. So we're gonna wrap.
Just wrap it up.
So thank you for being here today. I hope you enjoy the show. Obviously, we're hitting different. We can keep going. We're running out of time here, but truthfully, two outstanding men, experts in their field. 3LX, obviously, you're on this. Please, please, please check out Jeff Banman, Operational Mindset. Check out the podcast. Listen to his show. These two individuals, I cannot emphasize enough the impact they've had on me and the members of my team. We had a fantastic week. I appreciate you both. I want to keep this thing going and flowing, but we're out of time. I do not know how you close your show 100%, so I want you to be able to close this.
I can't even
every
talk
single
right now.
time.
We just closed.
So
we're
we're
just
closing.
Yeah, we're out.
Yeah.
And you had a final statement? We're good.
Yeah. Just remember, you don't manage time. You manage yourself, and leadership starts with you.
Yeah.
Amen.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hold on, actually. Like, share, subscribe. I'm terrible at the marketing aspect. I'm
Yeah.
still learning that stuff. So do all that stuff. Hit the like.
Both, yep.
Yep.
Op mindset,
Oh yeah, so go just do his, just do
3LX,
yeah.
Yeah.
Team 3LX,
Yeah.
Team
YouTube,
3LX on
like,
YouTube.
share, IG, Facebook, everything.
Yeah.
Get
all
that
that
out
stuff.
there so we can have more interactions just like this.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.